Adopting an all-meat carnivore diet has had profound benefits on the health of me and my dog. In fact, a carnivore diet actually saved my life. And my dog and I have been carnivore now for over 5.5 years. And while the carnivore diet can be absolutely freaking amazing, and I don't think there's really anything better to optimize your health, there is one carnivore food in particular that you never, under any circumstances, want to feed your dog. Welcome to Apex, my name's Jacob, and in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what that food is, why you shouldn't feed it to your dog, and what to do and what to expect if your dog does accidentally consume this food. And the food I'm referring to is salmon. And not just any salmon, because salmon is actually a very beneficial carnivore food. It's full of omega-3s, potassium, and magnesium, but it does have a dark side. And that dark side reveals itself if you feed salmon raw to your dog. Because feeding raw salmon to your dog can lead to what they refer to as salmon poisoning. And it's not actually the salmon itself that poisons your dog, it's a parasite that lives in salmon that can poison your dog. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of this parasite because I know I'll screw it up. But just know that there is a parasite in raw salmon that can infect your dog. And if your dog consumes this parasite and isn't treated fast enough, it has a 90% fatality rate. So this is not something you want to mess around with. And I wanted to address this because this is actually a question I get quite a bit. You know, there's a lot of raw feeders out there, which raw feeding your dog is an absolutely amazing thing. And from my experience, dogs benefit the most from eating their food raw. But you do want to keep in mind that if you're feeding raw food, that you never, under any circumstances, include raw salmon because of this parasite. Now, if your dog does accidentally consume raw salmon because crazy stuff does happen and dogs get into stuff all the time, you have a couple options. You can either wait it out and just monitor your dog and see if anything happens, or what is actually recommended is that you go ahead and take your dog to the vet as a precaution. Because as I mentioned before, if this stuff infects your dog, it does have a 90% fatality rate. And me personally, I'm not willing to take that risk. If my dog ate raw salmon, I would probably go ahead and take it to the vet just in case. And the way they treat this parasite is through rounds of antibiotics. So if you catch it fast enough, there is a pretty good success rate on your dog surviving this and it not really affecting your dog. But the problem would arise if you waited it out and you didn't catch it fast enough. So if you do plan to feed salmon to your dog, because it can be very, very beneficial, just make sure that it's cooked thoroughly, and that's going to mitigate any risk of this parasite infecting your dog. And one additional important note about cooking salmon for your dog is that you also want to make sure that it is properly deboned, because fish in general can have very, very small, fine bones that are very hard to get out. And those bones are notorious for getting hung in the throat and digestive tract, which could cause choking or damage to the internal organs, or could cause your dog to get stopped up, which is also something that you don't want to deal with. So just make sure that the fish is properly deboned. And the good thing about fish is that you can kind of crumble it up once it's cooked. So that makes sifting through it and looking for bones very, very easy. Now I am going to put some additional resources in the description below. So if you want to learn more about this parasite, how it can affect your dog, and potential treatments if your dog does accidentally consume raw salmon, those links and those articles should give you the information that you need. And speaking of salmon, I'm over here feeding my dog baked salmon skins from Trader Joe's because she's over here barking at birds while I'm trying to finish recording this video. So the good thing about baked salmon skins is that they're cooked and I don't have to worry about them potentially infecting my dog with some sort of crazy parasite that I can't pronounce.